Good morning, YouTube. Doing another shotgun video, and I'm doing another follow-up to home defense and buckshot. And this is really a comparison. It's kind of a further examination on the range video I did, discussing buckshot at certain ranges and patterning your shots and determining what works best with your shotgun. Now, again, I use my Stevens 67E, which is, simple 20-inch barrel, improved cylinder choke, and the results I got out of it were actually very surprising. Now, I wasn't using this is the best buckshot I have. I have not even tested this in the Stevens yet. This is the new Hornady Super Performance. It's double-aught, 8 pellets, but it has that new what they call the Versatite wad, kind of like a flight control. I have not tried this yet. I simply used this, the simple 2 3/4 inch double-aught buckshot, your bargain basement $5, all box ammo. This is something I picked up recently. I'd like to pick up another box of it before I test it, because it's very hard for me to get my hands on this, at least here locally. And that's the 2 3/4 inch triple-aught buckshot, and that's the 8 pellets. I kind of really like to see what this will do in this gun. See if I can get this type of pattern. Now somebody asked me to do a measure the spreads on these, and of course I kind of use my hand. But this is a 10 yards. This is 4 inches at the widest point. Now at 10 yards, that's a pretty good for considering what this ammo is. This is the cheap stuff. That's pretty good. Now with the 5 yards, it's kind of hard to tell where the wad ended up here. But even that is 3 to 4 inches. But the 15 yard, see if I can get this out of here. The 15 yard is 6 3/4 inches at its widest point. That's pretty darn good considering you're using the cheapest shotgun ammo in a 20-inch barrel. And the biggest myth with shotguns is, again, that, well, they're no good past a few yards and the spread opens up. That's 6 3/4 inches. That's well within the vitals of a human-sized target at that distance. And again, as I said before, I didn't test this at 25 yards, but I'm willing to bet you would still have the majority of these would be within the vital area. I think the next chance I get, I will test this at 25 yards. One of these buckshot loads, just to see what it does. And then I am going to test this. Eventually I'm going to get a chance to test this triple-aught, or excuse me, the Hornady double-aught with the Versatite. Now, the one thing I've noticed about the Hornady is supposedly the advertised velocity. They're advertising 1,600 feet per second. Most of your typical 12 gauge, they're advertising this at usually around 1,300, maybe 1,400 at the most for double-aught buckshot. So I'm going to be be interested to see what the recoil is like versus this, to see if this actually shoots something like a 3-inch load instead of a 2 3/4 inch load. But I am going to be curious. And of course, I have the cheaper, basically what this is called a military grade. And I've used this before with my Remingtons, and it patterns quite well, but I do want to test that out. But again, this is what I mean when I tell people, shoot your gun and shoot the ammo in your gun, not just what you see someone else doing. Take your shotgun out. This is not hard. This was a couple of pieces of paper from the dollar store, and a few minutes of time, and a box of shotgun ammo. This is a gun you're supposedly using for home defense. You want to make sure you know what this gun can do. You want to make sure that you're not going to spread shotgun pellets farther away than you want it to be. But again, for the most part, 10 to 15 yards, and 15 yards being an extreme, is probably the longest you're going to be shooting inside any home. I think even here in my basement, if I was to walk from one end of my basement at the other, at its longest point, would probably be maybe 15 yards, certainly not 25. So in order to even get this, This type of patterning, I would have to be at the far end, and the target would have to be at the most outermost end. And that's a basement. That's the longest point with no walls in between, no doors, no rooms, no nothing. So to give you, that's an example of probably how far most people are going to averagely shoot. It's going to be at the most 15 yards with a shotgun. It's going to be closer to this. Maybe even this, but I dare say closer to 5 to 10 yards. More like 10. I would say if you ever want to just pattern a shotgun at a starting distance, I would go right to 10. Maybe skip 5 altogether, because if it's doing this at 10, you're not going to need to bother with anything closer. Because that right there, you're talking 4 inches. That's a pretty substantial group for 9 pellets of buckshot. That's a very, very good group. And if it wasn't for this one being an outlier, this would be even closer. It'd probably be closer to 3 3/4 inches. This is maybe a little more than 3 inches. If this had been closer, you're talking a really good. I mean, look where they're all clustered except for this one. That's impressive. That's something to think about when it comes to buckshot. And I want people to understand when they do have a shotgun like this, don't just assume that your shotgun is going to pattern a certain distance in a certain direction. You need to know where it's going to pattern. So, with that being said, YouTube, I just wanted to go over this again and give you a bit more on your choices for buckshot. You don't have to spend if you don't want to. This is the cheapest stuff here. There's nothing wrong with this shotgun ammo right here. Not a thing wrong with it. It'll do the job. It'll do everything the more expensive stuff will do for a heck of a lot less. So, I would start again. If you're going to pattern your shotgun, start with the cheap stuff, see how that works, and then if it doesn't work to your satisfaction, then buy more expensive shotgun ammo. But there you go, YouTube. Hope this was helpful to you on your shotguns and picking up some defensive ammo and how to pattern it. Have a good day.